Hey guys, welcome back to Rossoneri TV. I'm Gio and I'm here for the match preview of AC Milan against Roma, match day number 7 in the 2017-2018 Serie A season. Match will be played tomorrow at the San Siro, 6 p.m. Italian time is the kickoff, and it is a very crucial match for Milan, of course, after heavy criticism coming in following that loss against Sampdoria last weekend, and also a very poor performance, I guess you could say, against Rijeka on Thursday in the Europa League, despite picking up a last-minute winner with Crotone scoring, which I will be speaking about in just a moment. It's been a pretty rough week for the Rossoneri, so it's very crucial that Milan, prove something to the fans and come out very strong in order to give some conviction to the Rossoneri. But let's speak a bit about this week and really what has been going on with Milan before actually getting into this match. Like I said before, we lost against Sampdoria last weekend. A lot of criticism given to Montella for his really lack of tactics or just randomly making choices that shouldn't have been made, as well as very late substitutions at the wrong times, at the wrong place. So Milan, we didn't come into this week very serene, and things need to change. They needed to change. On Thursday, we played our second group stage match in the Europa League against Rijeka, and we were actually leading 2-0 in that match. And the later stages of the game, I don't know what happened, but the team fell apart, and Milan conceded 2 goals in those last 5 minutes. One with a mistake coming in from Bonucci, as well as Donnarumma, I guess you could say. And the other one, a very silly giveaway of a penalty shot by Romagnoli. Luckily, Crotone was there to save the day at the end, really in the last 2 minutes of the game in stoppage time, to give the Rossoneri the 3 points and walk away with a very hard win. So, following that game, guys, I didn't watch it live, but I did watch highlights of it, and to be honest with you, I was really, really disappointed with Milan, not only because they had to win it in such a fashion, but because after the last loss that we picked up against Sampdoria, Fasone and everyone was saying that, Milan should not be losing against teams that are inferior than us, and we should be careful going forward because, pretty much the momentum is not there. Just a lack of, lack of urgency, I guess you could say, from Milan. There's no motivation going forward, and this is a problem that we have seen for many, many years. And whatever it is, this year, it cannot be the same case. It really cannot be the same case. With all the acquisitions and money that was spent in this team, we cannot see a replication of these past years again this season. So, really, making mistakes like that against Rijeka, and I'm speaking about Bonucci, Romagnoli in particular, but the whole team in general, should have been better to make sure they close the match and not concede goals, cheap goals like that in the last minutes, especially against a team where not many people even know about exists. So you cannot just let a team, with all due respect to them, come into the San Siro, a team that has nobody, and you can see 2 goals like that, and you're supposed to be Bonucci, you're the captain of the team, a guy that won 5-6 titles in a row with Juventus. He's been piss poor this season, and I have to admit, he really hasn't been outstanding at all. Romagnoli giving penalty shots like that is just plain embarrassing. You cannot do that. Just what was he even thinking to do in that circumstance? I'm not even sure. But all this is to lead to what I want to speak about, and that is, of course, the match against Roma. Very hard match. I don't think you need to hear it from me to know that Roma is one of the best teams in Italy. A team that is so strong, especially on the counter. They know how to score goals. They have a lot of players that could do damage, and we've seen it time and time again, not only this season, but also in the previous seasons. So really, it's going to be a tough encounter, even though we are playing at home. And the only positive that you could take from Milan playing at home is that so far they are undefeated at the San Siro. They have won all their games, including the Europa League qualifiers and group stage matches that were played at the San Siro. So far we have a 100% record at home. But of course, that really doesn't mean much when you're playing teams like Roma. And if we are going to see the same mistakes again like we saw in the past 2 games, then we will really be in for a very long game against Roma, a team that, like I said before, capitalizes on other teams' mistakes. That is what they're waiting for. They're a team like Napoli, a team like Juventus that might not always be at their best when playing, but when they do take advantage of opponents' mistakes, that is when they're there to kill and hurt the other teams. So we have to play very, very careful with Roma. We cannot allow any distractions. We need to be united until the end. And even if we are winning this match, we must not let go like we did against Rijeka. We got very lucky to get away with the 3 points in that game, but against Roma, I could guarantee you 200% that wouldn't be the case, and Roma would come back and hurt us even more. So we have to be very careful, united like I said, and most importantly, take our chances and not give any away cheaply like we saw in the past few games, especially with Romagnoli and Bonucci making so many mistakes, not only against Rijeka, but also if we saw the other games against Udinese, Sampdoria, and so forth. You guys watch the games, I don't need to go over this. But let's speak about the formation now, because Milan will once again most likely go with this 3-5-2 that, you know, hasn't been working so well, even though Montella has switched from that 4-3-3 that he was using. He's been testing this new formation out, and yes, even though it hasn't been so bad, we are still making lots of mistakes. I guess you could say that maybe there's a lot of new players on this formation, on this lineup, that they're still trying to get used to each other, but I can't take that as an excuse, especially 7 games in the Serie A season, and after playing so many games already in the Europa League, once again including the qualifiers. I think these players should at least be knowing each other for now, at least for the moment. So anyways, let's take a look at this lineup. Donnarumma in net, no surprise there. Musacchio, Bonucci, and Romagnoli. At least we're not seeing Lord Zapata in that defensive line. Then we got Abate, Kessie, Biglia, Bonaventura, and Ricardo Rodriguez composing that midfield. And up front, we got the new signings, of course, Andre Silva and Kalinic, with Cutrone ready to come off the bench whenever needed. Now, this lineup, like I said, possibly our strongest lineup. I guess you could say that. Besides Suso not playing in here, but he's one of those guys that might as well come in the second half if we need. Abate starting on the right side. He needs to have a good performance, as well as Ricardo Rodriguez. Kessie, Biglia, Bonaventura. I think these 3 will need to be crucial, and they're really gonna need to be impeccable if we want to win this game. You know, of course, Roma's midfield is very solid itself. And with Nainggolan, De Rossi, and Strootman, you're looking at some of the league's best midfielders there. So, you know, Milan needs to be very solid, especially in that midfield. Like I said, those mid 3 there with Kessie, B, and Bonaventura, they're going to need to really play a physical game, I think, and stay close to their opponents, not concede many spaces, because Roma, once again, is that type of team that looks for those spaces and tries to take advantage at any point possible. Andre Silva scored his 4th goal of the Europa League group stages on Thursday, so I'm very happy about that. Now it's his time to shine in the Serie A, and of course he's not gonna find a very easy match for himself because he's playing against Roma, but he needs to get those playing minutes in Italy as well, besides just getting those playing minutes in the Europa League. We've been seeing him a lot in the Europa League. He's been scoring goals, but now it's time for him to adapt to the Serie A and try to do the same as he's doing in Europe. Kalinic, of course, scored that double against Udinese, and we're hoping that he continues down that path. I think he was one of the better players against Sampdoria. Probably the only one that was trying to create some chances for the team. But he's going to need to do more as well. Once again, all depending on the support he gets from the midfield. So that's about it for the lineup, actually. I want to know your thoughts on this lineup, the 3-5-2 formation. And also, what do you think about this game? Does Milan have a chance to compete against Roma? Or is Roma's team just way too strong for us at the moment? Let me know in the comment section. Very curious to see what you guys think about this game. And also, if you guys want, you can give us your predictions. Very curious to know that as well. I know a lot of people are also speaking about in the chat regarding Ancelotti and his potential return to Milan or to Italy. So before I, look at all your questions regarding Ancelotti, I'm pretty much going to address my comments, my opinion on this right now. So, Ancelotti, well, as you all know by now, he got fired by Bayern Munich earlier this week, following that loss to PSG, as we all know. And right after that, there were a lot of rumors saying that Ancelotti could return to Milan, could maybe coach the Italian national team, or he could go elsewhere. Personally, I would love to have Ancelotti back. Of course, he made the history of Milan back in the days. And of course, he's won a lot of trophies with Milan. And he could be a very good, ideal substitute for Montella. Completely agree with that. But I think, these are things that Milan need to evaluate. But it's way too early in the season to do such a thing. I understand there's a lot of pressure on Montella. His tactics, he's not getting them always right. But until a decision is made, all these rumors, all this talk for Montella is actually not very healthy because, hearing these things can never make you fully concentrated on your job. There's always something that you're stressing about. There's something that you're concerned. You're afraid to take risks sometimes because it might backfire on you. And that's exactly what we've seen with Montella. He's not a very big risk taker, let's be honest. He doesn't like to make substitutions before the damage is done, like we've seen against Sampdoria. He's not a proactive coach. He's not one that, like I said, is gonna make the decisions prior to the damage being done, but he's one that reacts. So he's more of a reaction coach, we could say that. If he concedes a goal, that's when he's gonna make the change. So, like I said, I would definitely welcome Ancelotti, but this is way too early in the season to think of such a thing. Montella did also state in one of his press conferences that Milan has won 10 out of 12 games so far this season, which is true. But let's not forget to take a look as well at the teams that we played this season so far, because we have played a lot of weak opposition, and whenever we found a team that was a bit stronger than us, like Lazio or Sampdoria, we definitely fell apart and we couldn't beat them. So, we will see what happens with that, but like I said, it will be a welcoming option for me, but I think Montella deserves some time to gel with these new players and see what happens, at least until Christmas. You cannot just base a coach's turnout, really, for the season on 2 games that were lost. Yes, 2 games is a lot to lose in the first 6 games, because if you want to make Champions League, there's a lot of competition out there, especially with the teams bringing their playing level to a higher status than what we saw last year. You're going to be competing with teams like Roma, Inter, Napoli, Juventus, Lazio. Lots of teams there battling for those top 4 positions. So I understand that, but I will still give him time, at least until Christmas, to see what he could do. Now, let's get into your comments. Lots of predictions coming in already. Christy saying we're going to lose 3-1 or 3-0. Emil says 3-1 win for Milan. Christy also says, I hope we win the Europa League because I don't think we will finish in the top 4. Moving on, Dean Darko says, Ciao Gio, beginning to think Chiellini made Bonucci look good. Montella has to go before it's too late. The stakes are too high this year and we could end up in big trouble with the financial fair play. That's a very good point that you made there, and I agree with you. But like I said, I get pissed off at Montella too for not making proactive decisions. But, you know, we have to wait until the game, at least against Roma and Inter, to see what we can make out of Montella, because I think it's unfair to like fire him at the moment without seeing how he fared against the top teams. Yes, it's not very encouraging to see us lose against Sampdoria and Lazio, but let's not forget that Milan tries to at least tends to play a bit better against the top teams, like we saw in our previous seasons. But you know, we'll have to see and evaluate after those important games. Youssef says, Montella said about the first goal that it wasn't Bonucci's fault. He wasn't supposed to be alone. Well, whose fault was it then? Like, the guy made a terrible back pass. Also, Donnarumma on it, I think he could have done much better. The guy made a bad touch as well. So, Donnarumma could have done better on that goal. I think he had the opportunity to come out and challenge for that. I don't know why he ran back in his net. But anyways, Jamie says, who do you want to start in this game, Silva or Kalinic? Well, he might both actually start. Sifo says, I don't have confidence in this team and I can see us getting beaten if we play like we did against Lazio and Sampdoria. Guaranteed, that's not a surprise. Edwin says, Roma are favorites for sure, but I'm still positive and I think a 2-1 win for Milan. Mira SL says 3-1 win for Roma, not really confident. Do I believe in Montella to bring Milan back to former glory? I'll be honest with you, and I'm going to give you a straight up answer. It's going to be no. I don't believe he's the man to do it. But it's like, once again, a transition season, because we just got new players and we cannot expect to win silverware already in the first season. It might happen, it might not happen, I don't know. If it happens, it's the best thing for us, but I personally don't think so. But to bring us back to former glory, I really doubt it. Christy says, Musacchio is my favorite player in this Milan, and Andre Silva as well. DJ Ram says, I think we are going to lose this match. Montella is not doing anything anymore. Same formation, no tactics. I think he just tells the team, here's the formation, go play. Okay, guys. Mustafa says, Gio, I heard Lippi will come to Milan. That's another rumor, once again. I read that rumor as well, but I don't think there's anything really concrete in that at the moment. Jamie says, do you agree with some of our former players, such as Boban, who are criticizing our market and the team we have as being average? I don't think the team is average at all. We have very good players that did good things, like Musacchio, Bonucci, Kessie, Bigia. These are not average players. I really don't think they're average players. They're definitely above average. They have been playing good football in the past few seasons. Kessie, of course, being young, having a good season at Atalanta. I think it's just going to take time, because I think Milan could play well if they're there to play well. And unfortunately, if they don't show up and they don't have the will to play good, then that's a whole different story. And obviously, we have seen that many times where Milan just doesn't show up to games despite having these players. So really, it all depends on Milan comes out to play these games. I don't think it's really about the players, because the players, they're not bad. You know, I've seen Milan play this season, and I've seen some good games. But when they don't show up, then it's obvious that, you know, we will suffer. And we have seen it also in other games like Sampdoria and Lazio. And not only Sampdoria and Lazio, because we have won games as well, like Cagliari, suffering games that we are suffering. So we have to wait and see what happens for that. Sandro Mancini says, what's the minimum acceptable position in Serie A, and how far do you think we go in Europe? Well, the minimum I would say is 4th place, because with the amount we spent this season, 200 or so million, we need to at least reach the Champions League. So I say the minimum position we could reach and we should reach is 4th place. If we do reach 4th place, I'll be happy, just because it means that we will be playing the Champions League next year. But once again, it's going to be very, very hard due to the competition that we have this season. Chavez says Kessie is tired of being playing non-stop. I agree with that. But then again, we have no perfect substitute for him. Do I think that the 3-4-3 is an option, seeing that it favors Suso? It's definitely an option, given that Suso could play on the right side and still have a very strong midfield with 4 men composing. But I think 3-4-3 is a possible formation. But who would play on that left wing? Would you put a guy like Bonaventura there or Borini, for example? Let me know. What if Suso plays in place of Abate? He helps to create actions for strikers. Yes, it's definitely a possibility. I think Montella is only willing to risk that going forward into the game, unless in case we don't have a goal. But other than that, you know, it's Abate playing in that position. It's because, you know, he also contributes to the defense. Even though he's not the best defensively, he still contributes to it. And that is why playing Suso in that position, you're asking him to play defensively as well. Which could, you know, he could do it as well. But the guy has been known for coming back and helping out the defense. But it's really not his role, technically speaking. So, you know, you're not going to ask Suso to defend instead of Abate. That's what I'm trying to say. Emil Soboleski, thank you so much for your donation. I really appreciate it, brother. Always supporting me. Greatly appreciate it. Thanks, man. Do I think that we will win tomorrow against Roma? It's very tough to say. I personally would accept a draw in this game, given the fact that Roma is a much stronger team, already established from previous seasons. But anything could happen. Like I said, we have an undefeated record at home so far. So hopefully, maybe a surprise result for Milan. But I'm very, very curious and excited to see how this match will plan out tomorrow. Definitely a must-watch match, even for the neutral fans. What do I think the result will be tomorrow? I'm saying either 1-1 or 2-1 for Roma. That's my real opinion. My heart is saying something else, but my mind is definitely going with that. Maybe 1 or 2 more questions before I sign off. Clement says, Milan is very slow on passing. We are not quick enough. We must stop zonal marking and be very aggressive on the pitch. That's a very good point. Very, very good point there, Clement, because I think that Milan, many times, they're playing way too passive. I saw in some games where they've really been pressuring the opponents, and the opponents were forced to make mistakes. And that's the route, really, that Milan should be taking. But unfortunately, sometimes I agree with you. Milan lets the opponents play way too much or not aggressive enough, lets them move freely, and when that pressure is not there, that's when they get in trouble. But then we saw other matches where Milan was pressuring very, very well, and those are the matches where we played a bit better. So if Milan is capable of putting that pressure, adding that pressure like we should, there's no reason why we shouldn't be playing a good game tomorrow or any other game in the future. Hey Joe, do you think Gustavo Gomez is ahead of Zapata and Paleta, or is he way down in the pecking order? I think he's way down there. Unfortunately, I think he's way down there. Even though I would probably play him instead of Zapata. Zapata, yes, he has more experience, but every time you see him in that starting lineup, it's like you get a headache. You really go crazy and you're like, oh no, not again. Who knows what's going to happen next? Who knows? How do I feel about Bonaventura still not getting picked for the Italian national team? Not a good feeling, that's for sure. But to be honest, it's not like he has done so much so far this season. So I guess that's something you could argue, you know? I think that's going to wrap it up, guys, for the match preview. Thank you so much for watching and sharing your thoughts and comments with me regarding tomorrow's match against Roma. Don't forget to subscribe to Rossoneri TV to stay updated with everything going on at the club. And of course, I'll catch you guys tomorrow for the match review. This has been Gio signing off from Rossoneri TV. And as always, Forza Milan.